Helen, you've asked why I think this topic is very important. First and foremost, it takes me back to the challenge that a man should be kind of the pillar of the household. And matters sexually really destroy a lot of things when it comes to relationships and households and everything. And as right now with COVID, people have been forced to stay at home. Some are working at home, like right now, actually, I will be having this meeting from the office, but I'm having it right from home. And the key entertainment right now for men, a number of men usually go to social places. They have evening meetings with friends and what have you. But now the key entertainment that is left for them is within the house. And within the house, you can only listen to music and radio for some time. And then you can also watch TV for some time. If you live in a house like mine, where we have too many people fighting for the remote, then you either have your own television in the bedroom to watch, or you stop fighting for it. And then the option that you land on is internet. It has also created tension among families. There has been increase in domestic violence, and domestic violence is not only limited to issues cultural or financial. It also goes to matters the bedroom. And sometimes when a man is not satisfied, he tends to find an alternative. And in this period and time, a lot of people have found the alternative in porn, which is really eating into our society. And it has been carelessly spread such that young people, children, not even teenagers, children are engaging in this stuff. It's killing us. It's a cancer that is eating us slowly. And it is for sure taking us the wrong road. And if we don't curb it right now, in the near future, we might have a lot of perverts. And I chose to handle this with men because men tend to hide their feelings and emotions. They're supposed to appear very strong. They're supposed to appear to be in charge. They are supposed to be know-it-all. But deep inside, sometimes we hurt and we shut it down. And we need to share. And sometimes, again, we are not secure in our sharing. So it was a golden opportunity for me to speak about the topic. I've been reading about it. I've been watching what is happening, and I've done a lot of talks to the people I live with and to the people outside there. I work within the teenage world where I handle teenagers. And this is from class 8, class 6 to high school to campus. And I'm a father of teenagers and young adults and blah, blah, blah. So to be able to build a hedge of protection around these people is to be able to give them this information and tell them, look, here's the information. If you choose to use it this way, then these are the consequences. If you choose to use it this way, then these are the consequences. If you don't do that, they find out. They find out by themselves. These sites pop up and everything. So themselves, at that point, you've lost them because they do not know which way to follow. They will be taken away by the wind. Back to you, Helen.
Thank you, Joseph. Boss James. From there, I think we can start with our topic. You can go ahead and present for us.
Okay, thank you. Are you going to share the screen or do I do this? Let me see. Share the screen. Are we there?
Yes, we are.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Welcome to this session. And I'm going to demystify a bit of what men are. Sometimes we think that men are supposed to be rocks. We are human. I am the presenter. I'm your presenter today. By name, I'm Bosse James Osteen. I'm a counseling psychologist, a facilitator. I'm also a trainer. Beyond that, I'm a father and a husband. And I also work under Sage Counseling Services. But I also offer my consultancy services to Jobefa Medical Center, which is based in Kisumu. Now, I want to talk about pornography in men. Maybe you will ask what the topic stands for. The reason I chose that heading is because pornography is all over. Everybody's involved. Men, women, children, young adults, teenagers, all this lot. But then, who is a man? A man is an adult male human, and in most cases, sorry, this stuff is messing me up. Give me a minute. I pull it up. I'll go back. Prior to adulthood, a male human is referred to as a boy. So, in everything in this life, there's always a boy inside this man. And boys, you and I know, they're always curious. However, men determine the sex of the child because they got both chromosomes. So I'm going to take this from the Holy Writ for some of us. And Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee." I wanted to attach this to porn and the craving of porn. Sometimes you're staying with that person in the house. Sometimes you're living with your husband in the house. You're eating on the same table, but his heart is itching to put his fingers on the laptop or the computer. And why is that? Because it's a craving. And out of the heart flows the issues of life. And so men are like that. And in that case, I wanted to talk to men a bit about this number of kind of love that they would pick out and see at which point did I miss that slowly I slid into pornography. And so there's a number of kind of loves. We call it the love triangle. And we'll start with the empty love commitment. This is commitment that you give a sense of belonging with another person. Yet, it's just a commitment. And sometimes it feels like duty. And some of us are in these relationships where, yes, we are committed, but it feels like it's duty, you know. So it lacks something else. You're committed to this person, you met them, you like them, and the relationship moved on. But I feel like if I don't do this, then how will she be? And sometimes it leads you as a man to not want to hurt their feelings. And so you think like, I just do the best. So whatever she wants, I'll be there. But really, when you're on your own, it's a miss. And of course, we all know about infatuation. That is the passion. It is the butterfly in the stomach. This is the thing that you felt, the special feeling. The feeling that you as a man had when you're dating, when you're relating to that lady. The first time you promised her heaven, and you are willing to buy all the airports and the planes for her. But it is shallow love, so it can't sustain a relationship on its own. It is like passing wind. And of course, we have the liking, and this is the circle which a lot of relationships struggle with. You like somebody and your partner, your spouse is asking, what is this person about? Oh, there's nothing. We just like each other like good friends. We're just platonic friends. Yeah, it could lead, it's likely to be a platonic relationship. It's just a liking. But sometimes it's equally dangerous because it is in the liking that the environment might just conspire against you and you find yourself in a bad position. And if you can't fulfill it, then at the end of the day, it drives you back home and you start looking for that particular person in your spouse or your partner, and then you discover they're not there. And it's risky because it equally leads you back on the tab and you start looking for their images to play in your mind. Of course, we have fatuous love, and this is commitment and passion. The love formed by combining the heat of passion and the steadfastness of commitment. With this love, you desire the person and you've made a promise to them, but you don't really know them that well. And this is like what we call love at first sight. Um, and you are not too sure, but you're sure, and you say, well, what can maybe? Let it find me ahead. The example of this is in Vegas, wedding chapels. You know, one street people are wedding, and the opposite street are the courts where people are taking divorce. All of us have witnessed this. People who are married and wedded, and within 3 months or 4 or 5 months, things fall apart. And people start calling each other names and what, and it brings a lot of mental issues, and it could easily also lead you into porn because you're looking for an alternative. Remember, this is fatuous love. There was commitment and there was passion, but just the two will not hold up everything to the end. Of course, we have romantic love, which is passion and intimacy. It's that part of a relationship when you are fast falling in love with someone. When you can't keep your hands off each other, that's passion. And you want to spend all your time together, learning everything there is to know about the other person. That's intimacy, but sometimes it also lacks commitment. And when it lacks commitment, it can be very passionate and intimate, but it may not be long lasting. The danger with this again is it can become really obsessive. And when it becomes obsessive, then in the absence of the object of your obsession, you easily find yourself running to images that you play in your mind. Somebody has just drawn on my slides. Then we have compassionate love, intimacy and commitment. This is a very supportive love, often formed when a couple's closeness is based on years of shared intimacy and commitment. And all of these loves, all of these things that are in love triangle, each one of them plays a role. And so it is important for us to know as men at which level am I and what type am I at and what can I do to change it or make it better, because basically you're a product of your environment. You create the environment, and sometimes when you create that environment, it becomes really tricky for you. And then you have consummate love. This is commitment, passion, and intimacy. This love combines the trust of commitment with the thrill of passion and the closeness of intimacy. With all three components present, this is the type of love that's worth looking for, or perhaps trying to recover. So sometimes in your practice as a psychotherapist, you might find yourself helping clients to recover this, because when one of the components went down, one person slid into trying to replace it. And in most cases, we want to replace it by what we see. In men, we are visual beings. We like what we see. When we like what we see, we react. Back to you, Helen. Any comments or questions that far? Hello? Hello?
Hi, James. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself right there. I have not seen any comment or question, but I've seen a hand raised.
Yes.
I had seen your hand raised. Do you have a comment or a question? Okay, the only comment and request I'm seeing here is, can you be able to increase your volume or project your voice a little bit more so we can not strain to hear you?
All right, let me try and move this laptop closer. Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
This is technology, Helen. You're gonna have to forgive me for that. But
Okay.
I try my level best, okay? Do I go ahead?
Yes, continue from there.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, why porn? Sometimes we ask ourselves that question, why porn? And looking around, some of the things is that River Road is said to be home of local porn production. And previously in this country, we used to talk about porn, homosexuality, and lesbian, and we used to say those are things that are far away, they are abroad. The nearest they can come into this country is Mombasa because there are lots of tourists there. Yeah, but unfortunately, can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, James, we can hear you well.
Okay, unfortunately, it has come closer to us. River Road is said to be home of local porn production, and according to some sources, the young girls involved in these downtown productions are paid about 30,000 up to 100,000 per film in uptown Nairobi. And your guess is as good as mine, the people who pay them. So let's not even go there. And the DVDs are sold on the streets by vendors for as little as 50. And actually, along, this is in Nairobi, I use the example of Nairobi, along Mombasa Road, they'll be selling you, the vendors who vend those DVDs, they vend them like gospel, but there is an underlying signal tone that the drivers know when they want to ask for porn. So even if the police was to come to arrest those guys, whatever is displayed is gospel. Even the porn, when it's pulled out of the bag to be sold, the image on the back is literally gospel artist, but the content is not. And according to internet porn traffic shows that 70% of all internet porn traffic takes place between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is a work day. And most of the time this happens within the office. Most of our offices are have got internet, free internet. And so we log in. And these sites, some of them are very weird. They just pop up. And before you know, you have clicked on one. And before you know, you don't even know what is happening. And they're all popping up 3, 4, 5, 6. And then a phone rings and you're picking that call and they continue popping up. By the time you realize, you have a history of all of them. And curiosity that kills the cat makes better use of you. 21% of all sites are accessed from work. In 2000 December, the National Coalition to Protect Children and Families surveyed 5 Christian campuses on sexual purity, and this was done in the Americas. And 40% of male admitted to current porn use. 60% viewed sex websites, and 70% of Christians struggle with porn in their daily life. That goes a long way to tell you Kenya is a Christian nation, but the industry is thriving. Over 28,000 internet users view porn every second. Nearly 370 internet users type adult search every second. Even this time when we are in this session, there are guys viewing and there are guys typing. And the sex industry it rakes in billions of dollars per year worldwide in revenue. And how is this possible and why is this possible? I think sex is one of the oldest trades that ever was. But the funny thing is these sites are easily accessible. They are affordable. Like in Kenya, I think you can pay as cheap as 300 shillings per month to be on this site so that you can be able to view pictures and all this stuff. They are anonymous. You can decide to choose the name you're going to use without necessarily using your own name. And that is how you get addicted. And once addicted, it is very hard. You need the services of someone else to help you get off the addiction. Up to that point, anybody who would like to comment or add on?
Hi, James. I'm seeing somebody is saying if these are the figures, then it looks like it's a very recruitive sector. It's a very good area that people are getting lots of money from it.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anything, I mean, even today, if you did any video that has any explicit content and put it online, and then I did a video that does not have explicit content but have development agenda and put it online, believe you me, by midnight tonight, you'll have more views, more shares, more likes than I do. That's the world we live in, you know. So for me, the sooner we deal with it, the better. We cannot keep running away from it and thinking and hoping that things will get better, you know, like, oh, let's just pray things will get better. We gotta do something. And especially as the therapists, we've got to do something. The men who are seated here, the buck stops with you. You have to start. You know, there's an old saying that just start. No matter how you start, just start. In a small way, just start.
Thank you, James. I'm seeing Richard, your hand is raised. Please go ahead and make your comment. Richard.
His microphone is still muted.
Yes, how are you?
We're fine, Richard.
Sorry, it was muted and I was struggling a bit. Thank you, James, for this wonderful presentation.
Karibu.
I'm born again.
Yes.
And I've seen your statistics saying that 70% of Christians, they view porns.
Mm-hmm.
So is there, okay, I was just trying to ask if maybe there is a research that has been done to show what is the, what is the driving factor here? Is there any research that has been done to know why are Christians again engaging into this at a very high number like that? Thank you.
Well, basically, the one that I've utilized was researched in a Christian college in the US. And 70% of those Christians were viewing porn. And so in collaboration with Kenya, we are a Christian nation. That tells you where we are. If they were in college, in a Christian college, and 70% of them were viewing porn, which supposedly, according to their belief, should not be the case. Think about our nation.
More questions. I think we can continue and we'll respond to them.
Pardon?
I'm seeing many more questions coming in.
Yes.
You can proceed, then we will respond. Pauline, Wanje, go ahead and make your contribution. Lastly. Pauline, Wanje.
Oh, I was trying to unmute, but I was being told that the host needs to unmute me. But thank you, James, for this, and I wish very soon you'll bring one on women. I just want to concur with you about Riverhead.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2010, when I was doing my higher diploma in counseling psychology, we did a study, and I wish we published it, but we never did. And we were looking at the strippers' joints in along River Road. There was the Applebee's, there was several, and one that was near Sagret Hotel. I can't remember the name. And to my surprise, the audience were almost 90% men
Mm-hmm.
And almost 80% were Christians. So I want to concur with you that this is a pandemic that we've been fighting with, and it's been here for several years now. Yeah, that's what I wanted to just concur with you with what you're saying.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think at the end of the day, that's why for me, this touches home. It is those men, because when I leave home going to work, my wife knows my husband has gone to work and he'll be back home. And my wife prays for me, and I'm a Christian and she's a Christian. But then whatever I do out there, so that is what I'm talking about, this addiction. We've got to find a way of dealing with it. The beauty of it is we can deal with it.
Yeah,
Back to you, Helen.
I'm seeing two interesting comments here. Dr. Felista Musili saying, sorry, I joined late. That is so true. We cannot wish it away. I have had so many students in college from all faiths who have approached me seeking help or counseling because they are struggling with porn. Ruth Mwangi is saying, in a capitalist society, money and profits have been placed before any moral, religious, or even humane considerations. I believe this is also why human trafficking, including children, is not effectively dealt with, because it serves capitalist purposes. This would also apply to drugs of abuse and the whole sex trade. So thank you for that feedback. James, you can continue from there.
This we can be able to touch on them one by one. How do men get into porn? First and foremost, we are thinking beings, so our imaginations work really hard on us. Men are stimulated by sight. What we see sends signals to enable us react or relent. And what do I mean by react? And what we see enables us to react. And this is the cases where you get a skimpishly dressed girl was passing. This man saw her. This man ended up erecting and raping her. That's reaction. He reacted on what he saw. And then we also can relent. And this is where you give up on doing what really you're being pushed to do. And the second one is fantasy, because we are curious about different sexual sensations to meet and fulfill needs, maybe at home, to escape reality, and to explore a sexual taboo desire. There are things that people talk about, people have been doing, and people are exploiting, and you're thinking, why not? And then at the end of the day, you say, these guys are talking about these things. Let me check them out. And these days, as we talk, internet is everywhere. It's on your phone, it's on your tab, it's on your laptop, it's in the office, there's free Wi-Fi. So you just type it in and you get what you're looking for. Meanwhile, experts and advocates who endorse the existence of pornography addiction argue that, like other addictions, this is a complex issue with a range of possible causes. And some of these causes may include, but are not limited to, underlying mental health conditions. A person might use pornography to escape psychological distress. We all know that as psychologists, that some people might be in a mental situation that the only thing they feel like now they can do is to watch porn. Why? Because their object of satisfaction has become intentionally impossible or unrealistically not meeting the desires. Sometimes it's relationship problems. Pornography can be an outlet for sexual dissatisfaction. And a lot of men, and men who are here will agree with me that most of the time, men do not want to address the elephant in the house. So there's this elephant in the bedroom and you don't want to talk about it. Women are created different from men. For us men, you see, you imagine, you're triggered, and you're ready for action. We are like gas cooker. Pop it up and it's ready to cook. The flames are ready. Women are like charcoal stove, you know, and sometimes some of them are like a charcoal stove that was rained on outside and the charcoal was rained on, and yet you must wake up in the morning, light it, and make breakfast. And all men will agree with me that that is not easy work. And you have to be able to discuss this in a relationship situation in order to reach it. Otherwise, when you don't talk about it, it is likely going to push you into pornography. And once you get addicted to pornography, you will always look for an outlet. And sometimes the outlets are not good. And sometimes they are responsible for us bringing back infection back in the house. Unhealthy cultural norms, ideas about how people should look and behave during sex, the types of sex that a person should enjoy, and the similar norms may draw some people to pornography. That's very interesting. And some people, it is a well-known fact that some people talk big about sexuality when really they have no clue and no idea how it is. And it's until they come into a session feel-good chemicals in our brain as men, interacting with the pleasure and reward center of our brain. You know, you're looking at that image, you're seeing what is happening, you're seeing all the styles, and you're feeling good. You're feeling like, wow. And so what this translates again is then when you get home and then when you're with your spouse or somebody of the opposite sex, you will not be intimate and connected to this person. You will be practicing what you saw theoretically. And the other one is norepinephrine. It's a very hard word to pronounce. Those of you who went to school, my money ended here. Is a neurotransmitter that is important for attentiveness, emotions, sleeping, dreaming, and learning. And I can tell you for free, if you go to some of these video shows when they're showing adult-only movies, it is so quiet that even a pin can drop and you hear it. But when they're showing football, everybody's screaming. And the men here can bear me witness to that. And of course, we have oxytocin, and this is known as the hormone that promotes feelings of love, bonding, and well-being. And when it is released and it does not get the right channel to follow, then that is how addiction starts coming in, because now you start bonding with these machineries, because that is where you view the images. That is where you get your satisfaction. That is where you get your fulfillment. All the lust, you pour it there and you get satisfied. Before I go on, maybe someone has a comment? Helen?
Yes, James, somebody is saying, from your
Yes.
research, are there situations where porn can be well managed? Does it always lead to addiction?
Yes, yes and no. Why am I saying yes and no? First and foremost, you ask yourself, is porn necessary? So if you can answer that question, then yes, you can decide to manage it. But if you can't answer that question affirmatively, then you know you're headed the wrong road. It's like putting a driver in the vehicle and telling the driver, no matter how you drive, you can never get an accident. Can accidents be avoided? Yes. Can some be avoided? No. How will they be avoided? If you follow the manual and follow the route. that if you are not sure that you are a trained driver, then you get yourself back on that wheel. What else do you expect? The men in the house, talk to me now. Ouch. That silence is deafening. Are there men in this house?
Yes, there are, James. Let me see. There's somebody who wants to make a comment here.
Hello, yes, my name is Charles.
Yes, Charles.
The topic today, it's actually very true that men are looking for being a young person. You know, I have the time people have confided in me that you know, pornography is a problem. I think it is good to talk about it because you know it's the shame. I think the makes people not to talk about it and they probably deal with it. And also, I think we should also change the perception of counseling. When
Yes.
people think that when you go for counseling, now people will start judging you that you are weak and stuff like that. Yeah. So I appreciate the topic today.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charles. That's very interesting input. Helen?
Wanchiro, your hand is raised.
Okay. So I wanted to inquire.
Mm-hmm. Please unmute Wanjiro.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to inquire. I have seen a client coming to my workplace and inquiring because they're having sexual issues in their relationship. And they talk about articles where it's written whereby spouses once in a while can watch pornography. So what would you maybe advise on that? Because it's a client who has sexual issues and they feel that watching pornography might also come in handy.
That's very interesting. I would ask this couple one question. When you cook food, do you test it to feel the sweetness, or you sit and watch other people testing it and then you feel the sweetness? You understand where I'm coming from? I think this kind of a couple need to be helped to allow themselves to consummate. That's why I shared about among many forms of love, to allow themselves to consummate, to know each other, so that whatever they are going to watch other people doing, they can do it better than those people, but they just need to know each other. I think that is a sign of a couple who are distant emotionally, so they need a trigger in order to feel like they like each other. And if you go back on my slides on love, there's that love of infatuation, not committed. There's that love of commitment, not infatuation, no intimacy, not that good feeling. The challenge with this is simple, is that if they're not helped early enough, then they start doing these things secretly. And this is the love I was talking about, the commitment without love, if you remember, where it's a duty. You understand? So they are doing it like a duty. And because it has failed, because all of us here who are married, at some point in your marriage, you will experience the down road, where you are living with that woman, you're living with that man in the same house, and you don't feel like they should even touch you. There is that spell and that span. And for ladies, when you're getting to something they call menopause, it even becomes worse. That's why I said the elephant in the bedroom must be handled. So the man, the woman must sit and talk about it. And then you pull back and you ask them, when you first met, what was the objective of this marriage? To some people, the objective of marriage is sex. But you can't eat sex every day. So when you can't eat it every day, and the objective was that, so one person feels like if I don't do it, the other person will go out and find somebody. And the other person feels like if I don't do it, the other person will feel bad. And the taste is not there. And so you need something else to spice it. Whereas the two of you, if you talk about it, marriage is not all about sex. In fact, I think sex is basically 5% of a married relationship. Back to you, Helen.
Thank you, James. Several hands are raised and comments are coming in. So I think I'm going to leave the last comment, then you proceed. Somebody saying, I am not a counselor, but was invited by a counselor who is journeying with me. During premarital counseling with my now wife, porn was suggested to us as a way of stimulating sexual activity. How incorrect and sound is this? We are still newly married and Christians. My wife is not sexually adventurous. It frustrates me, especially now that we are in a long distance relationship, as I am stuck in Hong Kong due to COVID and she is in Kenya. I am starting to explore porn as a way of self-stimulation. Please, may you also share your views on married couples in long distance relationships, sending each other nude videos and photos for stimulation to keep their sex alive. Thanks for the timely presentation.
Okay, that was from a man's point of view, right?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I think, yes, I think so. Yes, he says the wife is not, so I think it's a man, yes.
And I'm gonna throw this back on the floor because in this house we have men counselors who also experience this. We cannot lie that as counselors we don't experience some of these things and these emotions and what have you. So the men in the house, the ball is back on us again. Can someone lift up their hand who is a counselor here? And we start with understanding this issue of porn being recommended.
Okay, I'm seeing several hands raised. Awanjiro, Charles, and guest. Okay, I'm going to unmute guest because we've not heard from you. Go ahead, guest.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good evening, sir. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Well, thank you very much for your very stimulating discussion tonight. And for daring to go where most of us, I know very many men here when they were young, they must have either masturbated or got into porno to do certain things. However, there are things that we need to clarify here from my own perspective. One, we need to differentiate between sexuality and sexual intercourse.
Yes.
The other thing we need to differentiate is how are people taught about sexuality. In the community I come from research,
yes,
young people were exposed to each other quite early, but not to have sexual intercourse, but to be sexually stimulated by people of the opposite sex. When that was killed for some reason, people went underground. Therefore, I see this whole issue of porno stimulation as a way of people getting to understand each other's sexuality from a perspective that has either not been taught or from a perspective where people have to look for information in the right or in the wrong place. I would, of course, as a counselor, not give people opinions or probably recommend. I would give suggestions of how people would meet their sexual needs because they are there for men, whether Christian and Christian. If you're in long distance, I would look at what are the options that you have to meet your sexual needs. And then people choose according to their personality, their stimulation levels, the things that you mentioned about as imagination, or the things you mentioned about stimulants of sex. People need to relate to that at a very personal level and at a very relational level with their couples or with their partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for highlighting all those things. And I think some of the answers, Helen, if you allow me, some of the answers are going to come through the remainder of the presentation. Should I?
Yes,
go on?
that's okay. Go ahead, James.
Okay. Signs of pornography addiction. And this one basically is most to therapists, and you'll be able to realize this when you're in session and you're talking to your client and you get to hear a person's sex life becomes less satisfying. This is what porn does. These chemicals here, when interfered with, they change their settings. And when they change their settings, they start creating this. So your sex life becomes less satisfying because you have altered the chemical such that it has now been conditioned to viewership of porn before operation. Then they feel frustrated or ashamed after viewing porn, but continues to do so. And this is the allure of porn. A number of clients have counseled, and I think most of the therapists here will bear me witness. If you ask them the first time they ever watched porn, a number of them vomited because it was, to them, it was inhuman. Yeah? But now the danger, the allure of it is you watch something that is usually hidden. You've heard the joke that people say, Mugabe said that everybody is making noise that their phones are private. You're making noise to your husband that your phone is a private thing and your husband sees you naked. What more private can be there than him seeing you naked? You understand? And then some of these people, they want to stop using pornography but feel unable to do so. And I have put unable to do so in bold, going back here. They are unable to do so because these neurochemicals have been altered. And until these neurochemicals are brought back to their original point, it becomes very hard for them to leave porn. And at that point, you realize also that these people spend large sums of money on porn, possibly at the expense of daily or family necessity. There are people who buy, the sad thing about porn is you start with a clip of 10 minutes. The next time you want to watch 30 minutes. The next time you want to watch, more than 30 minutes. And the next time you want to watch half the day. Back in 1997, I think I was working in a video library, and porn was part of what we would rent out. We were renting out movies. And by then, DSTV was very expensive, though we had it. There was a funny channel on DSTV that I think it was between midnight and 3, they would show adult-only content, even movies, explicit movies. And one of the reasons I had to resign is because my then boss decided that I would have to be coming to the studio at that time to record that movie. The strange thing is you record 3 hours of that, and then you split that tape into 3 pieces, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour each. If you remember those video deck tapes of the old time. Those movies, the X-rated movies, used to be rented more than the normal movies, even the latest release. So it's a big industry since time immemorial. Some of these people use pornography to cope with sadness, anxiety, and lack of sleep and other mental health issues. So there are a myriad of things that surround this situation for this person to start getting to porn. And like I said before in my slides, it's easily accessible and it just pops up. So you do not even need to struggle to reach there. Up to that point, I would like us to look at treatment. Is porn treatable? And research does not support any specific treatment for pornography addiction, unfortunately. Why? Because it's like someone who was eating chocolate and is being told, No, chocolate is nice. Chocolate is nice. Every woman in this house loves chocolate. I do buy chocolate. Let's talk about cigarette smoking. It's like someone who was smoking cigarette and they went to school and they're able to read. It's written there, not to be sold to any person under 18. And then they write their warning. Funny enough, they never write it in as bold as it's supposed to be, but they write warning. Cigarette smoking is harmful. These days, I think they've changed that and they say can be. But previously, it used to be is harmful to your health. So it's like someone who is smoking cigarette and hoping that it will not harm them. You see, that is how porn is. It's like you're looking and hoping that, after all, I don't think if I will get addicted to this stuff. Let me just see what people see. Once in a while is not a bad idea. And I think that is why the information of that particular counselor telling clients that occasionally you need to watch porn to stimulate you came from. And sometimes you're dealing with clients who are coming from two different backgrounds of active porn viewership. So to them, this porn viewing is not a challenge. However, the man is talking about the wife not being adventurous when it comes to matters sexual. And I think that's a topic for another day. Helen, you should make a topic about the expectations in marriage. It's a very important topic. And we miss it, especially in the African culture, we miss it. However, people seeking treatment for pornography addiction may instead benefit from addressing other issues, such as relationship problems, sexual shame, and depression. When we talk about sexual shame, there are some people even sitting in this forum that if you ask them, when was the last time your spouse saw you naked, running around the bedroom without necessarily having sex? You're just naked and running around. And some people will tell you, no, never. Oops, I hope I didn't step on someone's toe. Some treatment strategies are important to know. Oh, my lighting is going down and down. Let me see if I can add on that. Does that make me visible? A little?
We are even, I think I'm watching the screen, so don't worry about you.
Yeah, some treatment strategies may involve psychotherapy. This comes up. This can help a person understand their relationship with porn, identify unmet sexual needs, because one of the things that make people go into porn basically is unmet sexual needs, and develop strategies for dealing with psychological distress. Another one is relationship counseling. Couple counseling can help partners talk about their values, determine whether porn has a place in their relationship, and cultivate deeper trust. Remember, as a counselor, what are the values of these two people? Is porn part of it? Do they trust each other? When they can answer these three things affirmatively, you are as good as changing their life. And sometimes lifestyle changes. Some people use pornography out of boredom or exhaustion. And we've seen this with people who have once been surviving on hustling to make the ends meet. Then suddenly they break even, and now they don't struggle with looking for money. They struggle with, how do I spend the money? And then porn becomes part of it. So a more healthful lifestyle may involve spending fewer hours on the comp and doing a lot of things outside the computer. But even if you spend more hours on the comp, try and minimize your going online and do something productive with your life. When to see a doctor or a therapist when you have trouble orgasming from sex with a partner. I've had clients come in, and when we talk about sex and sexuality, and some clients go like, what do you mean people reach orgasm? I've never reached orgasm all my life. And then as you go through sessions with these people, you discover that one person, he has an active viewership of porn. And so it affects the fulfillment of the other partner. Also, when they experience an increase in sexual dysfunction, such as trouble maintaining an erection or maintaining lubrication before sex, that becomes also a challenge, and they revert to this kind of thing. And unfortunately, sad enough, some of them, when they revert to this, they end up masturbating, both male and female. Or they experience symptoms of anxiety, depression, insomnia, or another mental health condition. These are good signs that they need help. So you as a therapist, you need to do, and for those who are here, if you have experienced any of these things, then you need to start speaking to a therapist. When pornography causes relationship problems, of course, when a person feels guilty about their pornographic use and a person wants to cut down on their pornographic use but feels unable to do so, therapists come in handy. And as a therapist, you always must remember your PR. You must always remember that these are people who are in need and they have the solution to their need. The only thing you need to do is to give them a therapeutic space that they can explore their options and deal with their issues. But when you tell them they have a problem, then you lose them. In summary, although there's a disagreement about the causes of pornography addiction, treatment usually involves addressing an underlying issue, which could relate to mental health. For some people, simple lifestyle changes can help. And I think so far so good. I want to thank you all, Helen, for creating time to be here with me. And Helen, back to you, because I'm sure there are lots of questions.
Yes, there are, James. You have opened Pandora's box, and
oh my goodness.
Yeah, we can't be able to hide our heads in the sand anymore. We have to be able to address issues as they are in society.
Yes.
So thank you very much, James. That was a fantastic presentation. And I want to open it up even more to the therapists who are in the platform with us this evening. Number two, James, you may need to share with us your contacts, because some people are asking how can they be able to reach a therapist or to reach you. So in case you want to be able to contact James, there are his contacts. So I will start with somebody has inboxed me. They said, hi, I am so-and-so. I was a student at JQuat studying financial engineering. And then in third year, I discontinued my studies due to financial constraints. I was so disappointed as all my hopes were shattered down. I started watching porn with the intent of learning sex skills so I could join the porn industry to make a livelihood and go back to school. And I have been stuck to it. And masturbation as of yesterday night. I need help. And I want to open it up, even as James is taking a glass of water and a break. He could also use some help to anybody who's in the platform, a therapist. I'm going to unmute all of us shortly. Then you can be able to respond. But also you can raise up your hand. I can unmute you. Ruth Mwangi is saying the higher number of porn consumers are the male gender and the higher number of the objective porn is the female gender. The men have greater access to finances to buy it, devices, and to watch it. The women tend to be in need of money to get into porn for the economic value and tend to have less access to it. Okay, so she says we should all explore the aspect of spirituality in porn addiction.
Okay.
There is more activity in the spiritual realm than in the earthly realm. Now children are being used more and more, and many are having access to porn through adult services. Moffat, hi Moffat, glad to know you are here. I'll also be calling upon you to share more. Moffat is saying, I'd have loved to hear from that counselor who responded to Mbaka's question about the Hong Kong situation. What other options he thinks people have to attain sexual gratification? Perhaps he could be given time at the tail end of this lesson to tell us more about that. I took his unspoken suggestions with a pinch of salt. The bosses, somebody has responded, this is why it's good to be a couple when you're doing psychology. So, James, this is fantastic. Yeah? I should not even be co-hosting, somebody else should be doing this. Okay, so I'm seeing several hands are raised. Margaret, Charles, Wanjiro. I know Wanjiro and Charles have spoken, so I'll start with Margaret. Margaret, you can go ahead.
Margaret has disappeared.
She's there. Okay, so I'll have Wanjiro.
You might want to unmute them all.
Yes, now you are allowed to unmute yourself.
Okay, actually, Helen, I think my question was answered, so we can move on to someone else.
Okay, thank you, Wanjiro. Charles.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd like to ask if you could explain or just give the bigger context within pornography. Pornography, yeah, takes place because it's not really just a sexual issue. It has many other things that feed into it. So would you make a comment concerning the context, the bigger context of pornography?
Okay.
Hi, James. I think you can respond to that for now, then we can take more as you continue.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruth, for that. I think I have about 3 questions here that I wanted to look into. So let me start with the young man in campus who got frustrated, got into porn, and is now addicted, and masturbation becomes a day-to-day thing. And the young man can still get help. As we are all aware as counselors or psychotherapists, there's something we call conditioning. And when your mind has been conditioned on a certain thing, then you have to uncondition it in order to do that. And how do you do that? You must replace it. You must replace that conditioning with something else, because that is energy. You expend energy when you're doing this, and that energy is combusted in you. And if it is not expended, it explodes. So in the absence of expending it, doing something productive, you end up expending it in fields like pornography and excess freedom. I call this more of excess freedom. It is freedom you've been given, do what you want. But there are consequences. Just like I was saying, you're smoking cigarette hoping it won't harm you. So this young man, first and foremost, I think he needs to reach out to a psychotherapist who, in this case, has no option but to offer enough UPR and give enough therapeutic space for this person to come through. Because the addiction in porn is more or less like addiction in alcohol. And sometimes there's relapse, you are successfully going on, but at some point there's a pullback and he finds that, oh, one day he fell back and he did this and that. And because it has taken time to build, it's gonna take time to break. But yes, he can break it with the help. So he needs to find a counselor who can go through this journey with him. The second question was about men being the most consumers of porn and women being, because they need money, men are more endowed economically and women need the cash. So women will flaunt what their mama gave them and men will buy what the mamas gave the women. And this is a very complex trade. And sex trade has been here for ages. It has happened, if you read your Holy Writ, carefully, there is something in the Bible they call temple prostitutes. Doesn't it baffle you that it's a temple where God is worshipped, but they are prostitutes? So the sex trade has been here with us. And yes, as much as men are more endowed and the highest rate of those who watch porn are men, and that is because the highest number of those who perform are women. And number two, women are not always stimulated by sight as per se, and men are. And that also explains why there are more men consuming porn than women. Does that mean women don't consume porn? No. There are women who consume porn, who without porn, they can't function well. But there are more men consuming it than women. Why? Because men are wired to see, admire, and act. Women are wired to feel, hear, and act. And then we come to the context of porn. Ruth has asked that there's more to porn than just sexual drive. And I think throughout my slides, as I was going throughout my slides, I was able to explain that, allow me to use a phrase that Christians always use, that the idle mind is a devil's workshop. And I kept explaining that lifestyle changes, especially like right now when COVID is here. COVID has created a situation where you are forced to be in that house with that family, even if you don't like it. Now you can't know how the remotes are. Like me as a father, the only time I get to see the remote is when I want to watch news. Sometimes I have to look for it. And besides that, sometimes the remote is brought to you that it is broken, or have your TV in the bedroom. But now you're pushed into a situation where you have to do and wade unfamiliar territory, unfamiliar rivers. You are not used. A man's mind has boxes that are not attached to each other. So you are not used to being idle. You are used, you're planning, you leave point A to point B, you do this, point C, you do this, point D, like that, like that. And if you look through the slides that Helen has, that those who want to will get, there's more content in the slide that you'll be sent than what has been displayed here. And one of the things that I explain in there is that when men get into their chamas, they tell tales. That is where the stories of porn come in. And porn in content sometimes in men is to show prowess, that we are powerful. I can have this, where a man decides it's a trophy taking. So, umepitia wangapi? That kind of attitude? Umepitia wangapi? So it is a trophy taking. Some of these guys, strangely enough, I've had clients who come in and say their challenge is sexual dysfunction. So they know they can't keep an erection for more than 20 minutes. So they only get this girl in the room to suck their dick for them to feel nice and happy for those 20 minutes and go away without penetrative sex. How did they get here? The chemical base I was talking about, I only mentioned 3, there are about 5 or 6. The chemical base I was talking about has been altered. So this guy watches porn, has the desire for a woman, can't maintain an erection, but must feel happy. So what do? Let me pay this woman to come and mess around. And that is the filth in the world out there. Those are the things we hear in the counseling room. And this is somebody, sad to say, so sad to say. Allow me to say this here with a very painful heart. This is a bishop, and he's come with his wife, and the wife is complaining, I'm faithful, I've stayed at home, it is now 6 months, this guy can't touch me, he can't even erect. That is the time the man breaks down and says, you know what? I'm addicted to porn and I need help. And so it's more. Porn in context is not only about sex. It's about a myriad of things. It's about power. It's about show off. It's about wealth. It's about reliability. It's about liability. It's a whole world. Back to you, Helen. Helen?
Thank you, James. I'm sorry, I am about to go off. So one quick comment which has come to me February is how can we be able to discuss this, but now in the context of women, and I have taken note of it and we will be addressing it. I'm about to go off air anytime now because we also have a power issue where I am.
Sorry.
So in case I leave you online, just allow me. But for anybody who wants to get the notes or presentations, you can send to the number I've put in the chat section, which is 0111, the new Safaricom number, 0then313 times 630194. There's somebody who has asked if they can be able to get a counselor to help them. And I think, James, you can follow up on that one. But I'll also be able to follow up on the same.
Would you be kind enough to give them my contact?
I will. I'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
Yes, so I think we can also wind up that particular point due to time. Our time is way over.
Yes.
I don't know if there's somebody who has a burning comment or a question they want to be able to contribute as we come to the end. Thank you very much, James.
Thank you too.
Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Yes, Moffat here.
Hi, Moffat. Long time.
Long time.
Yes, karibu sana.
Thank you. I just want to make a very short comment in the interest of time. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Apparently this week was doing a study on the same, and one of the things that I have been able to realize is that actually the word pornography comes from the Greek words porno and graphy, which literally means or translates into the writings or about prostitutes. So my comment is that in hello?
Yes, Moffat.
Yes, my comment is that in real sense,
yes,
pornography is an insult to sex. It's a cultural pollution. It's an abomination to God, and it is a sex crime manual. So, and I feel so sad for people like the gentleman who has talked to us from Hong Kong. I feel so sad because of so many young people who have been misled. That is why I am the one who wrote, wanting to hear from that counselor who said that there are some alternatives to sex as it is, because we have got very young people who are being misled. Others have been lured into pornography by even their best couples. And I wish to categorically say that anything that makes somebody not to function normally the way they are supposed to do, it is not right. It is wrong. And I think the way God designed life, and I want to be very candid here as a Christian, there is no other. I know we have got so many narratives coming from wherever, from the West and stuff like that. And I wish to categorically say that because you will realize that after having been a victim of pornography, one of the things that will happen is that it causes you to feel ashamed of yourself. And if something makes you feel ashamed of yourself, then it goes without saying that is not the right thing. So personally, as a person, I strongly believe that there is no shortcut to sex. The only way is sex itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moffat. That was good insight. I don't know whether Helen is still around. I would like to get the code for China for this guy in Hong Kong, if we can reach him. But otherwise, anybody else with a comment before we call it a day?
Yeah, my name is Vespers.
Yeah.
Mine is not a comment, but I think there's also need for us counselors to be able to see how we can be also able to talk about pornography and drug addiction. Guess there's a lot of connection between pornography and drug addiction because of late I've seen quite a number of youths who abuse drugs, and especially muhuka and bira. Mostly you'll find that at that time it's when they go to such sites. I don't know why. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comment. I couldn't agree with you more. Actually, it is true. That is what happens because most of these guys, once they have altered their chemical thinking, then they are bored and they have to look for something else. Someone else with a comment?
Yes,
Sebastian?
I do.
Oh, Sebastian, good to see you. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine, James. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
I was working in Afghanistan some times back, and one of my manager used to watch pornography in the office. So before watching porn, he was very aggressive. He was speaking in a condescending manner. But after watching porn, you would see the change in him, you know, energy comes back, he's happy, smiling, saying thank you. So like you said, there's a huge effect when it comes to the addiction part of it. And I fully concur with what you've done. Thank you for the good job and much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Karibu sana. I can feel what you used to feel, and I can sense for a fact that it pulls out energy from people, and sometimes it's just the dealing with it. So when you deal with it appropriately, then your energy comes back. Anyone else? Should I give someone else room to give us a comment, ask a question before we can call it a day?
James, even as we get feedback, I wanted to mention Vice President, someone else has told us, earlier on we had a session with Susan Gitao from Elewa Ulevi, and she took us to sex addiction and drugs. And yes. I know it is on our YouTube channel, so you can be able to go there and also listen to it from there.
Exactly.
Yes, I see Cyprian is saying, porn in schools, how to deal with it. A client confessed of how he was embarrassed by the school when the parents were called to come view the porn he was caught with. The parents withdrew the financial support and the client ended up hooked to the porn, but he wants to get out of it now. Create awareness in schools to curb such experiences.
That's a good.
Yes, I have the contact for the people, for several people, and I will be able to link them with you, James. Yes, so I've seen people are concerned, but I've been able to get their contacts and I'll be able to connect them with you, and then you can follow up from there.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. I want to wind up that particular point. Tomorrow we have a topic by Faith Gishanga Osiro on change management, a mental health perspective, looking at our workplaces and how the changes that are going on there, salary cuts, working from home, all that, and how do we manage that during this COVID period. So welcome tomorrow evening to join us. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Okay, God bless you. Then please just do share the contacts again with someone. Someone is asking if you could share the contacts again, if you have them on your screen.
I will share my contacts, and then my name is Wangoi. I'm the organizer for Psychologist Voice Kenya and the sessions we are having here. So I will share my contacts. The one with where you M-Pesa for the notes, the same number. Then you can be able to text me or WhatsApp me, and I can be able to refer you to the various counselors who we work with. Thank you very much.